Welcome to the HCI family of podcasts. We're your source for personal, professional, and organizational growth and development. We share our own original research, explore industry trends, and interview executives and thought leaders from across the globe. Join us for practitioner-oriented content around all things leadership, HR, talent management, organizational development, and change management. Maximize your personal and organizational potential with the HCI family of podcasts. Ab DeWeese, welcome to the conversation today.
Thanks, Jonathan, for having me.
It's a real pleasure. You're joining us from Dallas. I'm south of Salt Lake City in Utah. And today we're going to be talking about collaborative AI in the workplace and rethinking how people in AI work together. This is a super important, super timely topic. I think everyone's wrestling with trying to figure out the upskilling around AI, both individually and for their teams. And, we're wrestling with displacement potential. We're wrestling with hiring questions, around replacing people as they leave. There's just all sorts of questions around AI and how to use it effectively. And I'm a big believer in learning how to utilize the tool in a collaborative, human-centric way. And I'm just excited to talk with you and have a good conversation around collaborative AI in the workplace. As we get started, I wanted to share Ab's bio with everybody. Ab DeWeese is a serial entrepreneur, AI educator, and author of Essential AI, your all-in-one QuickStart to using AI in business and the workplace. He's also the creator of CollabChat AI, a platform designed to help teams work with AI and each other to produce better, more reliable results. So today we're going to be talking about what HR leaders need to know about creative AI and how it reduces risk, strengthens decision making, and helps people stay at the center of innovation. Ab, anything you would like to add by way of your background or personal context before we dive on in?
No, man, I'm really excited. I have such a passion for helping people not be afraid of this amazing future that's in front of us. So I can't wait to talk about it.
Awesome, awesome. Well, let's just start off kind of basic. AI is obviously quickly becoming the workplace tool. But what really does collaborative AI mean to you, and what does it mean for HR leaders specifically?
Yeah, so I guess for me, collaborative AI means working together to learn how to use something. Teamwork makes the dream work, right? So
Hmm.
the people working together learn things faster, right? If I grunt and point and say fire, or I grunt and point and like teach you how to use the tool, like this is how people learn. This is how people work together. This is how we transfer information. And so, what better way to learn AI than to sit down with someone, whether you're sitting down with them virtually or side by side, to learn how to use this stuff. And this kind of the darker side of this is as organizations, if we're not getting in front of this and we're not making these tools available to our workforce, they're going to do it anyway. You guys have probably heard of shadow AI. That's
Hmm.
the AI that's in the workplace that you don't know about because it's not supposed to be. It maybe it's them accessing a tool on the web, or maybe it's maybe it's just using this right here, right? Because I can pull this phone out and just use AI from my pocket. So, the point of collaborative AI is you want to reduce the risk of misusing it, right? And there's a lot of different ways that people can misuse it. But if you have people work together, especially if you have junior people and senior people working together,
Hmm.
you're able to have some oversight on the way that it's used, and more importantly, the quality of what comes out, which is really what's more important, is how do we get the most out of these things so that we're using it to generate something that's more beautiful and more effective as opposed to just a bunch of AI garbage.
Yeah, yeah. And there's plenty of that, right? It is such a great tool. It can produce so much wonderful material. It can augment, what people can do and the expertise related to their positions. But man, if there's not oversight, there's a lot of garbage that comes out of it. Now you mentioned shadow AI. Before we talk about the garbage piece a little bit more, because I think that's important. Yeah, let's talk about the shadow AI piece a little bit. Why is that a problem for organizations? And how can they avoid the shadow AI effect?
Yeah, I mean, so the thing is, it is such a useful tool. It's gonna find its way into the workplace. So to try to put a dam up and keep the ocean at bay is a pretty daunting task. Like it's coming, and so appreciating that it's coming is, I think, the kind of the first step. And so if we attempt to wall it off and keep it out, it's going to show up as shadow AI, right? And so then what do we do about it? Like how can we solve that problem and bring it in a way that's meaningful? Well, it means knowing that it's coming. Well, let's have a plan in place to bring it in. Let's bring AI in a structured way where we have some control over the situation. As a father of young girls, my girls are going to grow up and they're going to date, right? And I could try as I like to keep all the boys at bay, or I can do my best to make sure that the ones that come to our house are the ones that I want to be there, right? So it's no different, right? So as AI is coming into the workforce, it's incumbent upon you, dear leader, right, to get ahead of it, have a plan, and have something that they can use where you don't necessarily have to control all of their interactions, but you make sure that they're surrounded by a good peer group and responsible people that will give them good oversight if you can't read every message.
Yeah. And maybe it's obvious to everyone in the audience, but maybe speak to the issues, the challenges, the problems that occur when people are leveraging shadow AI instead of going through more proper channels.
Yeah, well, I mean, the biggest one is if they're hiding it, you're not going to know about it, right? So you're not going to know about it until it's too late. But the biggest risk of shadow AI is really not because AI is shadowy. It's more that most people, not just rank and file all the way up through senior leaders, most people really misunderstand. They misunderstand the immense power that AI brings, and then they completely misunderstand how it constantly falls short and falls on its face. And because they're not adept, and this isn't everyone, but those that are not adept at AI, and they don't know how to apply the scrutiny. They don't know to be skeptical. They don't know to not trust everything that it says. They fall into the trap of just believing everything that comes out, and they put that work out as their own. And you see countless news articles and countless headlines of big mistakes that people make, where lawyers cite cases that don't exist. But
Yeah.
but things as simple as I'm not gonna name the guilty, but one of our clients. There's a young engineer and a senior engineer, and the young engineer created a whole bunch of output and got it from AI. It was actually an internal AI system that the company had. So this is not even a case of shadow AI. It's an internal system the company had, and the junior engineer thought, well, because I'm using this system that's blessed by the company, I can trust verbatim everything that comes out of it. And so she passed off this work, this requirements document, which is completely wrong. And a review and oversight from a senior person was able to rectify that. But if had he been in the loop as AI was guiding her through this process, he would have been able to avoid a lot of strife. So let's take this into a shadow AI case where it's not just a company blessed, company tuned and company trained AI. It's just one that's off the shelf that's available on their phone or through some website. Then this person is going to think they're doing a great job quickly producing something valuable when in fact they're producing the wrong thing. And if they don't have typical checks and balances like you have in more mature organizations, then that work is going to make it out in front of your customers or sent out to your vendors, and it's just going to create problems. And some of these are paper cuts, and some of them cut a little more deeply depending on what's at stake. But it's looking at this use, at scale across the organization where it really starts to make a big impact.
Yeah. And there's the security issue, right? So if people are, using shadow AI off the shelf stuff that's not, sanctioned by the organization, and maybe they're sharing organizational documents or data or things like that, that can become a security problem. I mean, there's lots of things.
Yeah,
But
if you don't mind, let me jump on
yeah,
that for a second. It's a really good point because even brand name world household name AI systems, if you configure them the right way, there's no security risk. But if you don't know to configure them the right way, then you're unknowingly exposing all this proprietary company data to these companies. So not only can they train their AI, but you've got your proprietary data on their servers, right? And sometimes
yeah.
that might be a HIPAA violation. That may be a client confidentiality violation. That might be, a government, international traffic and arms regulation violation, right? So these are real risks, and it's smart for you to bring them up.
Yeah, yeah. Now let's get back to the garbage AI. It's kind of come up in your examples too. Like people are too reliant on the outputs. And it's one of the it's funny. You can watch all sorts of videos, of teachers talking about the crappy essays they get from students who like copy and paste, the AI output. So
Yeah.
those are funny, and a bit alarming because we have to realize, okay, how do we better train if students are going to use them? How do we train them to use it effectively? How do they monitor the output and quality check it and ask the right questions? I think we've all seen that, in those types of videos for schools. The same kind of thing applies to organizations, right? Because employees are using it too, and they're trying to be as productive as possible, and they have KPIs, and they want to have good output and blah blah blah. So there's all these reasons why, people would use it, and used effectively, then it really can enhance what you're doing. Like it really can be a game changer, but not used effectively, not without the guardrails in place, you really do get garbage output. Maybe talk through like what are some of the key things that we need to be watching out for, and how we can really collaborate with AI rather than just like wholesale outsourcing our work to AI.
Yeah, no, it's really smart. And I like to summarize it all with the word lazy. If you're lazy with it, you're like, write me a thing and you copy and paste it and send somebody. Like that's a really lazy use. And it's not so much garbage in, garbage out. It's more like it's like lazy in, garbage out, right? Or low effort in,
Yeah.
garbage out, right? And it's the discipline to sort of, to take what comes out and make it your own, put the work in. So from a collaborative standpoint, if you've got other people in the loop, they're not going to let you get away with your junk, your garbage. You're like, hey, can you look at this for me? You're like, this is a bunch of junk. Like this doesn't look any good. Maybe make it look like this. Or somebody tells AI to make me a thing, and then I look at it and I tell AI, great, make it red, make it, or can you turn that inside out, or can you restate that in this tone, and maybe remove the bullet points. Make this sound less like a language model. Or I like to do things like more cowbell, or
Hmm.
just kind of throw curveballs at it to make it a little more human. But it really, like the garbage, it kind of comes in two forms. One, it's laziness, and the other is inaccuracy. So not everybody understands. If you don't mind, and just to educate the listeners for a second, all these things do is guess the next word. They're phenomenal next word guessers. They guess the next word. They're amazing at guessing words such that the words that they string together mimic the patterns of human speech. They're very good at writing things that sound like something someone would say, and they are notoriously inaccurate. They're not factual. They're not encyclopedias. It's not a reference. It doesn't. You can anchor these things in ground truth, but at the end of the day, all they do is guess what sounds plausible. And so because of that, you've got to stay vigilant and look at the output and make sure that you believe what it's saying. So here that word lazy sort of shows back up again. If you take the output and you don't take the time to think about it, or have someone, if you lack the expertise to review it, have someone else who's the expert to review it, or go and do the work of reading third party references yourself to make sure that what it's saying and where it's pointing you to is accurate. Like these are all the things that come into notions of garbage AI. Like so, one of our clients makes an AI system for use in medicine, and the outputs need to be reviewed by doctors. Period. End of story.
Hmm.
Full stop. And in the beginning, you set up very rigorous verification and validation processes where you get a large sample of the outputs. You have a lot of different doctors review them, and you make sure that the error rate is sufficiently low, meaning what the doctor thinks and what the AI says are in sufficiently good agreement. And then once you have that in place, well, then it's still incumbent upon you as the organization to sample, one out of every 100 or one out of every 1,000, whatever the right rate is,
Yeah.
AI outputs, and make sure those are accurate. And a failure to do that at the organizational level is another way of being lazy. And that's how you kind of monitor and prevent the garbage. And it's really as simple as looking at what comes out of this thing. And if I may, and people will say, why would I look at everything that comes out of AI? Doesn't that defeat the purpose of using AI to automate this stuff? And the answer is you don't have to look at everything. In the beginning, you do, But as you gain more confidence and you have the rigor to demonstrate that, you can have less and less and less oversight, but you still need some. So that's those are kind of the themes.
Yeah, because there's still like the models are getting better for sure. And some of the newer releases, really blow my mind when I see, like start to even scratch the surface of what they can do. But there's still hallucinations. There's still just like you said, it's guessing the next word. And so there's just it will put out stuff that looks like it fits. And if it doesn't know, it'll just make something up, right?
That's exactly right.
Yeah. Well, okay. So tell us more now about your platform. You've built a platform focused on people plus AI teamwork. What have you seen to be some of the most compelling use cases inside of organizations?
Yeah, so I can give you just a few examples, and you'll see there's a theme here. It's really simple. You might have like a senior law partner that is reviewing the output or the AI interaction of a junior associate. You got an associate lawyer who turns to CollabChat to try to rough in a draft of something, a draft of a document, and as that conversation is taking shape the junior lawyer went ahead and added the senior lawyer to the thread so that the senior lawyer is able to watch it, and as it's taking shape, so no, you need to turn left a little bit right here, kind of point it in a slightly different direction. Another example of that is in software engineering. So you might have a senior developer come in, start a thread with CollabChat that says, I need you to build a blah 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 application, and that the senior dev is able to speak very succinctly, use acronyms, abbreviations, and speak through her fingers really fast. So she's going to articulate this vision and then say, now put together a step-by-step plan. And then she invites the young developer in here and says, go do those things. Right? So it's just saved her a ton of time to articulate this vision. She gets it out quickly, and then CollabChat. She's able to have CollabChat break down the steps. Well, as it's breaking down the steps, step three might not be. It might be different from what her vision was, and she can kind of tune it as it goes. Invite the junior dev in. Junior dev goes and does the things, and when he has questions about how to make a design decision or how to debug something where he's stuck, now he's got this fully built up conversation that he can ask questions into, and she's already in it, so she gets notifications, she sees where he's stuck, and it's not so much him collaborating with AI or her collaborating with AI. It's literally them collaborating together to get the most out of AI. So those are a couple of examples, right? And I'll throw a third one out there. You got a sales professional who's kind of game planning how to go attack, like how to get at a prospect. And they're putting this game plan together. Well, the sales leader is in the conversation, is able to see and just slightly tune both the AI recommendations and what this sales professional is putting together so that you get to the right output faster.
Hmm. Yeah, and that's the key, right? Is getting there faster. It doesn't mean it's going to do everything for you. It's going to solve everything for you. It can if you monitor it, if you train it correctly, if you quality control it. It can help you start to consistently get there faster, which is really cool, right? So then that's where the conversations around displacement start to come in. Like if we can reliably get good outputs, good tasks, AI agents and such, and get reliable processes, reliable outputs, then all of a sudden you can, start to even think about how do we displace certain tasks or certain roles, and that starts to scare people to death, right? But really not dissimilar to any other major technological breakthrough or tool that we've seen over the years. Every single time there's a new tool, it potentially displaces certain tasks, whether we're talking about a new computer program or, the wheel, anything does
Yeah.
that for us. And so we're constantly in this space of trying to figure out how to utilize the tool effectively, try to be that human centric kind of checkpoint for the tool that's being utilized, because that's always going to need to be there. There's always going to need to be that quality control. There's always going to need to be the like who's training the AI, who's making sure that the outputs are where they need to be, who's that expert, right? Um, that's the sticky point. That's the tricky thing right now. Where do you see that going and developing in the coming years.
Yeah, I think, people are always scared of change, right? They're scared, people are scared of new things. They're scared of not really new things, they're scared of the unknown. And especially when the unknown is, when you don't understand it, and then it might potentially, you're worried it might hurt you. It's easy to be afraid of that. And so one of my clear answers is, and this is one of the reasons I built CollabChat, is because if I'm standing at the edge of the dark forest and I have to
Mm,
walk in there, right, and I don't have a choice, I would feel so much more comfortable if I have a friend at my side. So being able to
mhm,
work and to be able to approach this thing with a friend just makes it a little less scary. Well, what would be better than that if my best friend walks out of that forest and says, "Hey, man, come on back in here. It's safe," right? And so that's one way to kind of lower some of the fear of approaching these things. The other thing that I'm really excited about is eventually everyone will have been exposed to AI use on a very regular basis. It hasn't happened yet. I tend to think everyone's using it every day, but then I realize I can kind of live in an echo chamber, and there's, for every person that's out there using it every day, there's probably, eight or nine or 10 that haven't touched it yet. And I've got to constantly remind myself that there are lots of people out there that are just getting started with it. So you
Or
said,
or to add to that,
yeah.
maybe they are using it, but they're not using it in any sort of sophisticated way, right? Um, and there's nothing wrong with that. If you're dabbling and you got to start somewhere, you got to start to figure out how to utilize it. But I really do think the number of people who are like really leaning in and using AI as a collaborative tool in a sophisticated way is probably pretty darn small at this point.
Yeah, I think you're right. And the good news is the people that are dabbling in it, they've already taken the first step. And there is no substitute for talking to, it doesn't matter which AI system you talk to, spending the time talking, and when I say talking, I mean through your fingertips, right? Talking through your fingertips, interacting with these things, conversing with them. It's just like you meet a person after you've had several conversations with a person, you get a sense of who they are and who they
Hmm.
aren't, what they can do, what they can't, where their strengths and weaknesses are, what they're good at, what they're bad at, what they like, what they don't like. That just comes with familiarity and spending time talking. And AI is no different. The more you interact with these things, the more comfortable you're going to get with them. And the more you're going to realize what they can't do, the more you're going to appreciate how you have to have a skilled person in the driver's seat. The more you use them, the more you'll begin to realize, oh, this thing's not going to replace me. It needs me. I'm the pilot. This jet doesn't fly itself. Sure, when I get it to altitude, there's an autopilot, but I've got to stay in the cockpit because if something goes wrong, I need to be there. And when it's time to land the plane, it's my job, right? I've got AI doesn't work without a skilled person at the helm, and you don't get to deeply appreciate that until you've spent enough time talking with these things. So I'm excited about the future because as people become more and more and more exposed to it, they'll become less and less fearful, and they'll begin to have that sense of agency. And just like the computer that was supposed to, like, delete all these jobs ended up bringing tons and tons and tons of prosperity, AI is the same way. And right now, people are afraid, and I feel like I'm on a mission to just give people the confidence and the simplicity to go like headlong into this brave new future. And I'm really, really, really excited about it, and I'm on a mission to just remove the fear and empower people.
Yeah, I love it. Well, this has just been a super fun conversation. I know we've only scratched the surface. There's so much more to be said about everything we've talked about today. But Ab, it's been a real pleasure to be with you. As we start to wrap up, I just want to give you a chance to share with the audience how they can connect with you, find out more about your work, and then give us the final word for today.
Yeah, thanks. So you guys can find me at abdeweese.com. That's A-B, DeWeese, DEWEESE.com. And check out my book, Essential AI. I make this stuff really approachable. You're welcome to use CollabChat. It's a free tool. And if you guys need help from my team or me, as from a leadership or implementation standpoint, be happy to help. And if you just have questions about AI, follow me on LinkedIn, reach out. I'd love to help you.
Awesome. Ab, thank you so much. It's been a real pleasure. I encourage the audience to reach out, to get connected, find out more about what Ab and his tools, his resources can do for you. And as always, I hope everyone can stay healthy and safe, that you can find meaning and purpose at work each and every day. And I hope you all have a great week. Thanks for joining us for this episode of the podcast. We hope you stay healthy and safe, and please join us again soon.